This guy went to a room with a beautiful girl, perfect mood, no interruptions, everything set up to go right. And he managed to do the impossible. He couldn't get it up. Yeah, the guy simply couldn't do it. And the worst part, it wasn't bad luck. It wasn't lack of desire. It was his own mind sabotaging him. And when you understand what brought him to that point, it gets even more absurd. Because this doesn't start in the room. It starts way before that, when he gets the biggest dumping of his life. Because Rudeus was simply abandoned by Eris, out of nowhere, with no decent explanation, just a weird bugged little letter that doesn't help at all. And he's left there, kind of not understanding, kind of broken, with that strange emptiness, like when you know something went wrong, but you don't know exactly why, except instead of lying down and suffering, he goes, no, life isn't just this, and decides to move forward, and immediately grabs onto another goal, finding his mother, who had disappeared. And that's when the salaryman adventurer phase starts. He travels across the continent, taking quests, fighting monsters, making money, ranking up, meeting people, joining groups, that standard cycle, but with one important detail. He's not doing this because he's happy. He's doing it so he doesn't have to think. Because if he stops for even 1 second, his mind immediately goes, why did she leave me? And then it's over. And in the middle of that, he ends up joining a group of adventurers, and she's there. Sarah, and this one shows up different right away because she doesn't like him. Like, zero patience. She thinks he's weird, kind of strange, closed off, and the vibe between them is basically don't touch me. And Rudeus just accepts it, because honestly, after everything he went through, he doesn't really care anymore about other people's opinions. But time passes, days, weeks, months, they keep doing quests together, fighting, traveling, living side by side, and little by little, the atmosphere starts to change. Not out of nowhere, but it does. Because even though he's weird, Rudeus is efficient. The guy solves problems, handles bad situations, and that starts making her change the way she sees him, even if she doesn't admit it. Until one day comes, the group returns from a mission, but without Sarah. Yeah, she simply didn't come back. And then the mood gets heavy, because this isn't just any mission. It's a dangerous area, with an absurd blizzard, the kind where just stepping outside is enough to freeze you, and nobody wants to go back to look for her, because it's basically suicide. And this is where Rudeus does something that changes everything. He decides to go alone. Yeah, the guy looks at the freezing storm, looks at the risk, and goes, yeah, I'm going anyway. And it's not an exaggeration, that blizzard was no joke. Cutting wind, heavy snow, almost zero visibility. One mistake out there meant death. And even so, he goes, because deep down, he didn't want to lose someone else. And when he enters the forest, the chaos begins. Monsters show up, you just see creatures adapted to the cold. Aggressive, and he immediately goes into serious mode, magic everywhere, ice shattering, enemies dropping. He wastes no time, just clearing a path with brute force. And after fighting through all that, he finally finds her, Sarah, trapped inside a block of ice, literally frozen. And then he doesn't think twice, uses magic, breaks the ice, and gets her out, and takes her to a cave where he tries to warm her up, improvises shelter, does whatever he can, and when she starts coming back, she's confused, kind of not understanding, but alive. And that's where everything changes. Because she realizes he came back alone, faced that insane blizzard, fought monsters, and saved her. And that completely shatters the image she had of him. After that, they return to the group, and the atmosphere isn't the same anymore. She starts looking at him differently, starts getting closer, trusting him, and little by little, that turns into something else. They start going out together, talking more, having moments outside of missions. That whole, there's something there. And Rudeus starts thinking, man, could this actually happen now? Because after everything he went through, this felt like a new beginning. And then comes the day when everything finally seemed like it was going to work out. That kind of moment where you look at it and think, there's no way this can go wrong now. Because they go to a tavern, a place full of adventurers, noise, people laughing, drinks being served non-stop. And at first, it's just another normal night. They sit down, start talking, remembering missions, talking about simple things. But as time passes, the alcohol starts to kick in. One drink turns into two turn into several. And without realizing it, the whole mood changes completely. The looks between them aren't the same anymore. The closeness increases, the conversation becomes lighter, more direct. And that tension in the air starts to appear. The kind that doesn't need to be said, but is there the whole time. And this is exactly where a lot of people think they already know what's going to happen. But hold on, because this is the point where everything starts slipping out of control. Sarah starts showing interest clearly. There's no more doubt. It's not subtle anymore. And Rudeus notices it. And in that instant, his mind shifts into another state. He starts believing that his moment has finally come. That after everything he's been through, after everything he suffered, now he really has managed to move on. Now he really is okay. And that confidence grows fast, faster than it should. And that's exactly what makes everything more dangerous. They get up, leave the tavern, go to the room with no interruptions, nobody getting in the way, no problems happening. The whole path feels strangely perfect, like nothing could stop it from happening. And that only reinforces even more his certainty that now everything is going to work out. But that's exactly where you need to pay attention, because when everything is too perfect, it's usually because something is about to go wrong. They enter the room, the place is quiet, the tension is still strong, the closeness between the two of them increases, and everything points to the same result. There's no more doubt about what's going to happen there, and Rudeus himself believes it. He believes that moment is proof that he overcame the past, that he managed to leave everything behind, that now he can truly move forward. And that's exactly where the mistake is. He starts, the mood stays favorable, everything seems to be going exactly the way it should, and for a few seconds it feels like nothing is going to go wrong, until he realizes something is wrong. And it's not something small, it's something that stops everything from continuing. At first he doesn't understand, he thinks maybe it's just nervousness, something momentary, something that happens, so he tries again, tries to focus, tries to ignore what he's feeling, but nothing changes. He tries again, and once again, nothing happens. And this is where the situation starts getting really strange, because the more he tries, the less his body responds. And at that point, a greater discomfort starts to appear, because now it's no longer something simple to explain. He starts realizing that this is not under control, and that creates a mix of shame, confusion, and worry, all at the same time. And if you think this is just an embarrassing situation, it's not. This is exactly where the real problem shows up. Because in that moment, his mind starts bringing back everything he tried to ignore. The image of Eris leaving, the letter she left behind, the lack of explanation, the emptiness that came after, the question that was never answered. All of that comes back at once with no warning, like it had just been waiting for the right moment to appear, and that moment was exactly that one. And now there's no way to ignore it anymore. Because while he tries to keep going, his own mind starts shutting down his body like it's pulling a brake he can't control, and that's when he realizes that it was never physical. He didn't fail because he lacked desire. He failed because he was still trapped by what happened before. And that makes the situation much worse, because now there is no simple solution, there is no quick way to fix it, there is no try again that's going to work in that moment. And the more he realizes that, the more the panic grows, because now he understands that it isn't something temporary, it's not something that's going to pass in seconds, it's something inside him, something he never resolved. And then it reaches the point where there's no way to keep going. He can't do it. And that completely shatters the expectation he had built up, because until that moment he really believed he was okay, that he had moved on, that all of that was already part of the past, and now he realizes it isn't. And the situation gets even worse when Sarah reacts, and it's nothing like he imagined, because instead of easing the tension, she basically destroys whatever dignity he still had standing there, and then there's no way to pretend nothing happened. The silence gets heavy, the mood dies, although, to be fair, his little friend was already, let's say, unavailable, and what was supposed to be a perfect moment turns into a complete disaster. And this is exactly where everything truly changes, because this wasn't just a failure, it was a warning. It was the moment he realized he can't keep pushing that forward anymore, that pretending everything is fine doesn't work, and that sooner or later the problem comes back, and comes back worse. And the worst part is that it doesn't end there, because what he does after that is what will really decide whether he stays at rock bottom, or finally manages to get out of it. And that's when you understand, this didn't end there. In fact, it was only the beginning. So here's what you do. Leave a like and subscribe, because in the next video, I'll show you how he gets out of this, and you're going to want to see it.